My name is Phyllis Y. Whitley. And you're going to ask me a question. Dealing with relationships, they call me Miss P. I will do my best to use spiritual and prophetic to come in and help you the way I can. Know who you are. You have to know what you represent, where you've been, where you at, and where you going. And once you know all of that, don't let nobody move you from your destiny. I deal with trying to help you through your mind, body, and soul.
All right, so hello and welcome. So today's guest is Dr. Calenthia Miller. Dr. Calenthia Miller is a dedicated healthcare administrator, educator, and mentor with over 33 years of service to her community. She is the CEO of Allure Publishing, LLC, Activating Excellence Consulting, LLC, and Canvas of Thoughts, LLC, driving excellence in healthcare and personal growth. Dr. Miller holds bachelor's and master's degrees in healthcare management and business administration, a doctorate in healthcare management with a leadership minor, and various certifications. She has inspired students as an adjunct professor at Virginia Community Colleges for over a decade. She serves as the Health Center Administrator for a nonprofit in Durham, North Carolina. Dr. Miller is also a proud mother of two sons, Lorenzo Allen and Kahari Bryant, and a grandmother to Armani Allen. In January 2022, a stroke led Dr. Miller to reassess her work life balance. During her sabbatical, she embraced writing to enhance her cognitive and emotional well being while prioritizing health, family, travel, and gardening. This transformative journey renewed her commitment to self care and cherishing life's precious moments, setting the stage for her continued impact. Continuing on, our host for today. Right.
Hi, everybody. Yes. This is Phyllis Y. Whitley, better known as Miss P. And today, what we have is I am so honored and thankful and grateful that I have the opportunity to go straight up the ladder and interview Dr. Calenthia Yvette Miller, but you're going to hear me say Yvette because when I met her, that's how we connected because her middle name is Yvette and my middle name is Yvette. So, first of all, I just want to say hello, Dr. Yvette. What is going on today?
Well, hello, Miss P, or Yvette, Miss P. All is well. I cannot complain. God is good all the time. Had a wonderful time with family during Thanksgiving. Had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with my granddaughter. So all is well. I cannot complain and won't complain.
Excellent. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You heard what she said. I'm having these little computer issues, and I think it's telling me that it's time to change my computer. My E is not working. So, with that being said, we are so glad that she's here. And it was a lot that the moderator said about you.
Hmm.
I'm going to go into what inspired, in your own words, what inspired and led you to help others in the healthcare.
Oh, well, I guess it started when I was very young. My aunt is a pediatrician and she just retired in September after doing over close to 50 years, maybe 45 years of service as a pediatrician. So that kind of motivated me to want to give back to the community, which she served so well in those years. So I think that was the anchoring for me to see, first off, a Black woman of color in the South, in Mississippi, having her own clinic and being able to support and move those people in that community. So I think that was the first step for me. And then once I got that bug, it just kept going, and I've been doing it for over since 1985 actually, and I'm still in it. So I love what I do, and I don't know anything else but to give back and to help others.
Yes. As I saw when I definitely witnessed that when we was met at in Houston,
Mm.
And that's what pulled us together because she had this strong desire to help. She took the time in her busy schedule to even sit there and listen to me while we was taking the shuttle to get to our destination. So she has a big heart. She has a good heart. And God said you should know about it fruit. And I'm going to be honest with you. So far from what I have seen from her, she is dedicated to or passionate about what she wants to do to help others because somewhere she been in the lion's den.
Mm.
And we are going to discuss that, but we're going to go into something a little different. I am, I noticed that you have grandkids and you're a mother of two. How
Mhm.
did that lead you to where you are today?
Um, I guess as a mother, we are always doing something. Our job is never done, and I realized that as a mother, not of just a granddaughter. I have a granddaughter, but two sons, and that itself in itself is a lot. Just wanted to leave a mark for them to be able to show them that as a single parent, that didn't stop me for what I needed to do. I made sure that they were in the thicks of everything that I did, but that did not take away from what I did with them as they were growing up. But I wanted to leave them this legacy that says that as a single mother, that should not determine where I was going. And so they were right there with me. Whatever I needed to do, if it did not incorporate children, I did not do them. So I wanted to ensure that they knew that they had a mom that was out there pursuing her dreams, and not making any excuses for whatever came my way. I made sure that there was always opportunities for me. If I had to knock on people's doors, if I had to stand in a line, I was right there with them. And I also wanted to ensure that this same legacy that I'm leaving from my boys, that it trickled down to my granddaughter. So she sees what I do on a regular basis. In actuality, when she was here for me with during Thanksgiving, she actually went to work with me and saw what I did. So I want to make sure that she sees a strong individual, not just as her grandma or what she calls me, her Mimi, but just as a strong woman in general.
And that's beautiful because you said she called you Mimi, and I love that. I love
Mm.
it. I mean, is it true what they say that the grandchild have it easier?
If you ask her dad, he says yes. I think I always tell him all the time, when I was rearing both my boys, it was a different time. um, and so, especially being men of color, it was a little bit different. I had to be, as my grandmother used to say, stand on their necks to make sure they understood that this world doesn't owe them anything. And so me instilling in them that tough love was because I truly love them. So yes, if you ask her dad, he says that she has it easy, but she's the only grandchild and she's a girl. So I didn't have the opportunity to put them in, really cute clothes and all that stuff. Now I have this
Mhm.
opportunity. So
Oh, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. I can't wait till I actually be blessed with grandchildren. With that being said, something you mentioned earlier, Mississippi. Now, when
mm,
I was talking to you on the shuttle, you actually was telling you was from Chicago, which I am in Chicago now. I go
mhm.
back and forth. I go to Texas, and originally I'm from New York. But could you please explain how long you was in Mississippi? How was that like? And the reason why I said it is because somebody from the north, I couldn't imagine what it was like. How was that like? How was Mississippi? And then tell us how you got to Chicago. And now you're in North Carolina. Could you
I
tell us your
am.
little journey?
So actually, I grew up in Mississippi during the summer. So I didn't physically stay there year round. I was there for the summers with my grandmother, and I think I started going there when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. So it was a regular for me. So in some regards, I did live there. I mean, I was there for 3 months out of the year, and so the idea of spending time with my grandmother and understanding what life was like in the deep South, and then going to the North, it was transformative for me because it was such a different look, very much different than what I was accustomed to in the North in Chicago. So yes, I went there every summer for 3 months, but I actually reside in Chicago, and I lived there all my life until I moved when I was 25 when I moved to Virginia, and then ended up here in North Carolina about 4 years ago.
Excellent. So now you're in North Carolina. Tell us, is that mostly work that sent you over to North Carolina?
Actually, yes. So I resided in Virginia, which I was in various areas, which was there for 22 years, working for a non-for-profit organization there too, which allowed me to be able to move around the state for a while. And then when my youngest son decided he wanted to go to college, he started looking at schools in North Carolina. And I was like, oh, my youngest is leaving. I might want to do something different. And so I start looking at jobs in North Carolina. And that ultimately brought me here like 4 years ago.
Excellent. And just forgive me for the trying to get some more information that I didn't have. But
No
with that
worries.
being said, we are grateful that you're here. Before we go into your journey in the Lion's Den, could you please just answer this? Is just something I'm curious about. You went through a lot, and we're going to get into that. But what would you say to the young Yvette, Dr. Yvette? What would you say to her if you knew all that you was going to go through?
I would probably say I would not even stop it. I would continue on with the journey. I think if we had the eyesight or the insight on what our life would be like, if it was something that was good or bad, I think this journey was a must for me. I don't think I would have changed anything. I think I would have probably worked a little bit harder, more passionate about certain things, but I don't think I would have changed anything. I had a wonderful childhood, had wonderful people that I was surrounded around. It was an amazing experience for me. And then I had my children. So I don't think I would have changed anything. Now, if you ask myself now at this age, uh, would I pull back a little bit and allowed myself to be able to manage up in certain situations? Definitely, I would have. But the things that surrounded that piece, I don't think I would have changed that,
I
because
think that's
I
beautiful.
wouldn't be here with you. I wouldn't be telling my story. I
Oh my
wouldn't have the things
goodness.
that I have that have been laid in front of me. I wouldn't have those things.
I mean, I understand that, but do you think that sometimes we can go through a road that's not so many that has less obstacles? Because I sometimes feel we weep what we sow. Like we don't listen. We mama say don't go down that road, and we go down there anyway. You don't think it was anything that in your life that you made a major decision and you wish you could take back? Maybe you don't. Maybe you know.
I don't, to be honest with you, Miss P, I think I always tell people sometimes you have to go through certain things, even though your parent tell you not to. Sometimes you have to go through it in order to experience those things for yourself. I don't think I can't really think of anything at this moment that I can say that I wish I would have turned around and said, I should have, could have. No, I don't ever want to feel as if I was, stuck. And so I don't think there was anything that I can think of at this moment, that I would have said that I would have changed. I don't think so. Maybe probably, I take that back. Maybe probably spent a little bit more time for myself, being able to nurture me and being able to give back to me and to be a better individual for me. But I think that came later after everything else, but not that I
Yes, I
can
like
think of.
that. I like that. Actually, I am one who my mission is broken whispers and revising them. And you said something um, last time that you was interviewing me,
Mhm.
and we are going to and when we got off camera, I said you need to revise that, and you was making a point why it was so important. Well, we passed election, but you said it's so important that people get themselves together, basically. not word for word,
Mm-hmm.
because if they didn't, they would be doomed. And when we had a conversation, I said, let's revise that. Here's your opportunity to say what you really wanted to say to the people out there.
So yeah, we did have a conversation after the fact, and at the time I did say doom. I think as you corrected me, which we sometimes as people think correction is the worst thing, but it allowed me to open up my mind and understand that word. And so I think as you mentioned, we have now passed this election. We're going into 2025 and things are going to change. But does that mean that our lives are going to end, or our way of living is going to end? No, I think that we just need to man together. We need to pull together. We have to bring our resources to the house and be able to stand together, because yes, it is going to be a trying 4 years. But however, that doesn't mean that, as I said, doomed. We just have to find another way of doing things and do it strategically in order for us to make it through these next 4 years.
I thank you for actually sharing that with us. But we don't want to say correct, because I how dare I correct you like
No,
a
no, no, no,
correct
definitely.
doctor. But I
No, no,
understand it's just revision, just
no,
bringing it out
no.
there, and not in the way that it was gloomy. I just wanted you to see the
Mhm,
glass half full, not so much half empty.
mhm.
But you said something that really was good there. Are you talking to, when you say we, are you talking to women's out there? Are you talking to black people, black women? Could you give us a little bit of take on that?
Of course, I've always want to say I'm talking to us as a people, as my people, as people of color, whether it be brown, especially women. I think a lot of times recently did a podcast in regards to us as women. This narrative that we cannot get along. So most of my conversation, a lot of times, is about us as women, but more importantly, us as people of color as well too. So as a collective, we definitely need to make sure that we're pooling our resources and making sure that, again, we're strategically aligning what is in the best interest, not just for our household, but the people around us, because should be a family unit now. This should be something that we should work toward. Like I said, these next 4 years can be it could be challenging, but if we have a pool of people aligned and having the right frame mind to get through this, I think we could. I know we could. It's not that I think. I know we could. We've gone through so much more. So I know we can make it through this.
Exactly. If and yeah, we're not here to take sides.
Hmm.
Voting is over. But you know, for our people, you have to understand that the president is not God.
No, ma'am.
The president, no matter who's up there, I lived through Nixon, the Bushes, both of them, father, son, and anything. I mean, Watergate, Reagan. So a lot of people, they have a side, whether you Republican or you Democrat or Independent, and they think it's all, it's in
Mhm.
all for everything. Once a Pacific person get up there, yeah, some of them can do damage, but the president's job is not to come to your house and say, "Hey, let me help you move. Let me help you
Mhm.
with your goals." And I think we as a people, we get wrapped up in that, and think, because even when Obama was in there, oh, we're gonna be saved. No, 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 no. It's only one person can save you. God, Lord and Jesus Christ. This is the time and the season, just like Dr. Yvette said, that some of y'all need to go find your relationship with God, because a lot of things can't be done in the natural. Most things can be done in the spiritual. And I literally, everybody who knows me, I really, really let you know that in that spiritual realm, that private time with God, go to Him. Give Him your complaints. But just remember, one man can cause havoc, but your world, you have control of your household, your world, your children. So don't put it all in one person. Don't think, it's over. It's nothing is over. So with that being said, because she's here, look what she have overcome. And we can overcome anything that gets up there. That we have done it before, as a people. So one of the things that Dr. Yvette overcame was a stroke. And I don't know if this was related to it because I was just reading your bio, and you said something about being a workaholic. So could you take us there in the sense where was that the cause of you not dealing with yourself or putting your self care, self love first?
Yeah, definitely. So as the moderator indicated, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I realized that I did work a lot, and I think because of me being a female, a woman of color, and in certain positions in the healthcare industry, we have to work a little bit harder than our counterparts have to. And so I can remember this particular day, which was um, January 20th, 21st, actually. I was at work, as always, there early, greeting I call them my family. I don't call them my staff. They're my family. And we were just having a wonderful time, and you just laughing and joking, getting prepared for the weekend and asking questions. And of course, you were still in COVID, and just trying to get through just the day-to-day operations of the business. And I had just had a really, really, really bad headache. But let me take you back a few months prior to that. I had the year before, I had lost my voice for almost 2.5 months, and so couldn't figure out what it was. We thought it was something with my larynx, with my throat, all that stuff. Not all of that was negative. Nothing that they found. But I had to continue to write. I couldn't talk. I had to write with sticky notes. And fast forward, this particular January, I was talking, and I was meeting with some people in my office, and one of my family members said to me, you've been really, really tired, and you're just not being yourself. And I was like, I've just been tired. Things are going on, but hey, I'm going to push through it. I'm going to make sure everything is fine. And I remember we were doing something in our circle, and I came back and I sat down. I took uh, 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 two leaves and drank some water. And when I realized it, when I woke back up, I was in neuro ICU. Um, I can only say that I was at the right place at the right time when I had my stroke, because I do work in healthcare. I actually run two clinics. And I was at the right place at the right time. Had I not been there, I was actually getting ready to go home because my head was just extreme, really, just really bad headache. And had gone home, I probably would have crashed my car, and I wouldn't be here sitting talking to you.
Mm.
But I got there in time enough for them to give me the medicine to reverse um, uh, the parts of the stroke that could have been worse off. Of course, I went through rehab, and still in rehab. Some days I have good days, some days I have bad days, but for the most, I have very good days. But yes, I think what I've always tell people, we are so used to operating in stress that it becomes our norm, that we don't even recognize it. We are trying to do so many things in such limited time, and trying to do as much as we can, and not allowing ourselves to just step back and allow ourselves to breathe. And I didn't allow myself to breathe, um, in the sense that I didn't allow myself to manage up, allowing the people that I had entrusted, and given them the tools to be successful, to give it to them. And ended up with a stroke. And so I tell people all the time, I always tell people that are in healthcare are the worst patients, because we know the signs and the symptoms. We're around it. We have the ability to be able to speak to colleagues and ask questions, even Google, all that good stuff. But we are the worst patients known to man. At least for me, I can say that. But realizing that at that age, having a stroke, and my neurologist telling me I was his youngest patient, it put a
Mm.
lot of perspective on what I wanted to do going forward. And so when you asked, would I change anything? I think I would have changed the fact that I would have listened a little bit more to my body, and that's in that regards. But also understanding that if I had not gone through that, I could not been able to tell my testimony to and let people know that God is real. Because the day after I had my stroke, I actually flatlined and died. So I say that to tell people again, as you said it very clearly, the relationship that you have with God is your relationship. And I tell people all the time, God, in my relationship with Him, He has to talk to me real gangster. He can't talk to me soft. He has to be very hard and very persistent with what I need to hear. And so he had told me previously, I need you to stop and listen to what I have to say. And, being kind of hard headed in a sense, I kept doing and doing and doing. And so it ended up being this way. But I thank him for allowing me to wake up and be able to lean on him even more today than I did before.
Yeah, and that just touched my heart. We all go through testimonies. We all go through hardship, and you and I both know some people stay in the hardship or they use it as an excuse
Mm-hmm.
not to move forward. I have
Mm-hmm.
heard people say, well, if God loved me, this would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to give up that dream. I'm not going to write that book. I'm not going to open up the business that I always dreamed of. And because I've been in the lion's den too, we know with cancer and all of that will be in your book upcoming. With that being said, how do you what advice do you give to people who's chasing their dream, but they went in the lion den and came out with a bad, you know, diagnosis from the doctor? What do you say? How do they keep moving? How do they write the book? How do they get their business?
Well, what I can say to you is the book that you have on your screen right now, Unmasked. I I had to go through, like you said, this stroke, but in that midst of that depression, that moment of wanting to give up, I realized that God hadn't left me. He had not left me. He had something better in store for me. And that book, even though I could not write, mind you, I said I have two boys. They had to bathe me. They had to feed me. They had to clothe me. They had to take me to all of my appointments. I could do nothing without them. But I thank God that I instilled in them the art of appreciation, the art of empathy, the art of caring, that they cared for their mom. And so through that time when I felt like I was going to give up, God said, "Hey, there's no such thing as give up." He said to me, and I tell this in my book, I said, God spoke to me as if I'm speaking to you clearly on this podcast today. He said to me, sometimes you have to go through the fire, but that does not mean you're going to get burnt. And so I say that often to realize that my days could have been different. But he gave me the opportunity to stand in my purpose. And my purpose was to write. Something that I had been doing since I was 9 years old. But of course, life happened and you become a parent and you had to do things. And it became a back burner for me. But he allowed me to see what he had already given me that was in me. And I wrote the first book again with not being able to talk. I was able to scribble, but I wrote that book in 4 weeks and the second one in 6 weeks. So when you have people who say that they are going to give up, please take my testimony and understand that I could not walk, I could not talk, I could not feed myself. But if you were to look at me right now, you would know that I had a stroke because that's what God gave me. That's who he touched me that day. And he said, "No, you are my child, and I'm going to make sure that you see what I want you to see. You're going to stand in this purpose. You're going to do what you're set to do." And through it all, it ended up with books and now a publishing company. So please don't give up. There's going to be dark days. There's going to be days that you're going to question because we're human. But understand, God said he would never leave you nor forsake you, and he has not. You just got to believe in knowing that he's there for you. It might not come when you want, but he's there. He's listening at all times.
Excellent. And y'all, audience, forgive me because I got two screens up, and I know I'm focusing this way, and y'all think, well, is she looking to her? So please forgive me because I forget. Um, first of all, that was beautiful. You are a beautiful being,
Thank you.
and you are. I mean, we all just need to and give you your flowers,
Oh,
okay? Because it's no words to say, and I know I've been there with. I had one child. She had to help me in the shower, help me out the shower, and it's something that you just people. We really don't want to go there, but we are so grateful and thankful that you had a relationship with God. And listen, y'all, especially my team. My team know who they are, and I was so probably hard on them when in the sense of not relying on my consultation, but hey, let me take your hand and walk you over to let you know who God is. This is why I have a prayer line.
mhm.
And people say to me all the time, how do you hear from God? I mean, is it true that you can hear from him? You're not going to hear from him like Dr. Yvette said. It's not going to be the King James version. It's going to be your version.
Yes.
And you have to have a relationship, because even when I was down and I walked away from Christianity because I said I just don't want to have nothing to do with it. And it wasn't the man, it wasn't a woman, it was it wasn't the church. You understand? I
Mhm.
learned something because I went to another religion. I was looking for the best people, and God said, "Are you looking for me?"
Mhm.
So Dr. Yvette know where I'm coming from.
Mhm.
You have to have that relationship. And yes, like he spoke to her and she didn't listen. A lot of times he speak to you and you could be grown and you just be sitting up there, don't listen.
Mhm.
And he's giving you a warning sign. That's why I believe in holistic self-care. I push it heavily. And she has a testimony. Now she could just stop, and she has an excuse, some people would say, and say that was it. I'm not going anywhere. But as you say, she went out there and manifested the things and continued the mission that God has for her. And you know what, Dr. Yvette, speaking of which, you have a company that I am definitely looking forward to joining.
Mhm.
And could you tell us about Allura? Um, please give us a little bit about why and how this can help others.
Yes, ma'am. So, Allure Publishing LLC is of course a publishing company that was born out of this stroke God had placed in me.
Mm,
That
wow.
He said to me on that day. I remember just as it's plain as day. I remember coming home from therapy. I had therapy three times a day. And I remember my son bringing me upstairs because I live in a three-story townhouse. And I remember sitting on the edge of the bed. And I said, God, I can't do this no more. And he asked me just as plain. He says, what do you mean? What can you not do? And I said, God, I cannot do this. I cannot be a burden to my children. I cannot allow myself to feel like they have to take care of me. And he says, well, I'm not understanding, like, what do you mean? Like, you took care of them. It's their turn to take care of you. And
Mm,
so I said, God, I
wow.
said, I just really can't do this. And that's when he spoke to me and told me that, sometimes you have to go through the fire. That doesn't mean you have to be burnt. And he asked me just as plain, he says, well, what do you like to do? And I was like, okay, this must be a trick question. Like, God, I know we play and we have a great time. We laugh, we joke, but really, are you asking me this question? And he's like, well, yeah, I'm asking. I said, well, God, you know what I like to do. No, he says, no, I want you to tell me what you want to do and what you like to do. And I said, well, Lord, I like to write. He says, well, get to it. And so I did. And he said to me when I first finished the first book, he says, now this is the platform that I'm giving you. Now it's your turn to give back.
Wow. Wow.
And so Allure was born from that, being obedient to God's word, saying that if I'm giving you this platform, allure is not about me. Allure is about the people that I come in contact with, those people who have a voice, that have a story to tell. And I always say, who better to tell the story but them? And so Allure is one of those companies that allow people to come and share their stories. One of those books that you have on the screen, A Love Letter, is one of those things that I have given back um, to people who have never written a story in their life or written anything, never put a pen to a piece of paper, but I was being obedient to God. He allowed me to write my own love letter, and I knew what that felt like for me. It felt like it was so therapeutic for me, and I wanted other people to feel the same thing. And so that a love letter to ourselves was born out of the first love letter that I had written to myself, being able to deep, dig deep down in my core to understand who Calenthia was, who was the young Yvette or the young vet, who was she beyond just being a daughter, a mother, who she was. And that love letter allowed me to really see myself, you know, without makeup, without any of that. So I wanted other people to feel that same aha therapeutic moment for themselves. And so um, I wrote that book, but in honor of people being able to just be themselves and
Excellent.
not be masked anymore. As my book is called, Unmask Who You Are, and be able to write your true thoughts on paper. And that one little thought can be monumental to somebody else who might be ready to do the unthinkable. So yeah, so
Excellent.
Allure is that company. When I say family driven, it's family driven. It's all about making sure we're here for each other.
Excellent. I thank you for sharing, and the young women out there, actually young and old, they are going to. This is going to be a blessing for them. And as I always say, people like, "What do you talk about the promised land?" It's not for you. It's for others. And that's the thing about it is, when I really teach my team, it's beautiful to the promised land, to just live what makes you happy, because what makes you happy might not make me happy.
Mhm.
And long as it's not harming anybody, I really feel people don't realize when you arrive. I don't think anybody will totally arrive, but when you get to those levels and you see God blesses you with your heart desire, you start realizing, wow, this is so beautiful, but it's just a gift. It's just his gift of saying thank you. And then
Mhm.
he's going to say, now snap back to it, because now you know what? You got to help that whole community. You got to
Yes.
help over there. You got to help the ones overseas. And just really just about you, helping all of those people that God bring into your life. Like, I feel like he brought Dr. Yvette into my life. And I'm just saying Yvette. You don't mind me saying Yvette because I'm saying doctor. She just want me like, hey, wait a minute. Just let's keep it.
Mm-mm.
She's that divine connection that it's just more. 2025 is going to be a good year. It's
I
going to be a
agree.
good year. It really is. And your story need to be heard. And I was going to go to that next, but you kind of beat me to it. And I see the moderator put up the books, and I'm like, wait a minute, you cheated me out of going and saying something to her. I personally, first of all, those of you, could you just tell them real quick before I go on to the next thing? How many
Mhm.
books do you have in total?
Um, 6 right now that are published, and I'm working on 7 and 8 now. Now.
Excellent. Now, the love letter, let's talk about that
Mhm.
to ourselves. Um, I actually just went and did a little research and stuff like that about it. And I do notice that this book is like, it celebrate your self discovery. I always talk about self love, self care. Now, self discovery, it's like a celebration. When you, to summarize your own book, why is it important for, let's just say, the Black culture to celebrate themselves?
I think we do a disservice to ourselves. We need to always recognize where we've come from and where we're going. You said that in the introduction, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. We have to celebrate all shades of us, whether good and bad. I think in this book, this love letter, it's just an anthology that celebrates us as an individual, as individuals within the book, but celebrate us as a whole, as a community. We have a array and a diverse group of people that are in this book, that I think I shared with you when we are on the podcast when we did ours. Every now and then I take a moment where I have to go back and look in this book to kind of reground myself and understand how blessed I am to be a part of this community. Us being able to see the struggles, but also see the triumphs in itself too. So I think self-discovery is allows us to be able to move forward, but not never forgetting where we've come from. So I think that
Excellent.
in itself is important, especially for the younger generation, especially for my granddaughter, allowing her to see that Mimi is not perfect. She had some things that could have been better, but she's working toward a better tomorrow for her, but also for myself too. Because at the end of the day, before I was a mother, before I was a partner, before I was a doctor, I was me, and so I had to
Mm,
get back to me in order for me to move forward to discover the person that I am. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to still be this person. I'm still evolving every day. And so
mhm.
this book allows us to be able to see where we were a year ago and transport ourselves to what tomorrow might be. And so it allows us to again, self-help, self-care, self-preservation,
Yes,
self-discovery,
yes,
all of those things is a
yes,
must in order for us to be able to be whole. At least for me,
yes.
it makes me whole to be able to see those little things that end up being big things. So
Excellent, excellent. And just going over the book from what I know about it, it seems to me that love letter, and I'm gonna be the next one, y'all.
yay, yay.
It's also not only if it's self discovery, it's self transformation, but I noticed that it's really a healing. Could you explain that? It's a heal. It's like you
It
don't
is.
know it, but
You
that
don't.
healing is involved with the pen and the paper or
Yes.
the computer and typing.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's just I was talking to a few of my sisters in our sister company circle, and we were talking about the next edition of the we call it Love Letter Chronicles, which again, thank you for agreeing to be a part of. We were talking about the evolution of this healing because it is a healing. I always tell people that as an individual, I had to peel back the layers of the onion, and so I look at myself as being an onion. So I had to peel back those layers in order for me to see what was in the core of me. And so in seeing what's in the core of me allowed me to heal and to bloom, right? And so I was telling the ladies on this podcast, I said, you know, even if you don't do a love letter to yourself every day, self affirmation is a must. I always stand in the mirror every morning, crust in my eyes, whatever. And I always say, hey, I'm beautiful. Today is going to be a beautiful day. I might have obstacles, but there's always alternatives to being able to circumvent those situations. So it becomes a healing for you as you write each and every day. It might not be every day. It could be, it might not be, but as you said, it's a healing thing. And I told someone who's going to be in this book for the second time, I said, take the time before you write your second love letter. Go back and read your first one and see how much you have come, from last year. And so, yes, it's a healing process for us all. And I think this is the time that we need to heal ourselves. Um, because again, if we don't heal ourselves and we still are are looking back at that small child in ourselves. How do we allow ourselves to be the parent to our children or the grandparents to our grandchildren if we haven't healed ourselves? So
Wow.
yes, it is a healing,
Wow.
a part of healing. In the back of the book, it gives you a little tidbits of writing down affirmations and breaking them down and understanding them. And it's it's the teacher in me. So yes, this is really a lesson, but it's a lesson in
Oh,
healing. Yes.
excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And listen, don't worry about it, y'all. We will have her books in the YouTube video description. We're going to have a link so you can go ahead and get it. And you also can go and could you tell them your YouTube channel?
So my YouTube is Creative Conversations with Dr. CalenthiaMiller. So I'm out there. So please go out and subscribe. We have some wonderful podcasts, a lot of good information, and yours is out there as well, Miss P. So yes, uh, Creative Conversations with Dr. CalenthiaMiller.
Well, let's go to the next one before we actually close, because I'm pretty sure there will be many more times that we are going to be having a conversation, and I love her conversation, creative, because it's something you have to create, and you know what? Because God made us creators, and I love it. I love it, and I know some of my team members are going to say, or people are who work with me is going to say, "Wow, that sounds like some of the stuff that you're doing." And it's so beautiful because God can take a big pot and put her ingredients in there, my ingredients in there, and stir it up. And then she's
Yes.
so she her heart is so big and so beautiful. She's like, "Can I have more people?
Mhm.
Come on, bring your ingredients, bring your ingredients, bring your ingredients." And so she's just something. And you have to meet her in person
Oh.
because she busy as she was, she just stood there and listened. And I was like, do you have the time to sit up here and listen? And she did. She did, and she do right now. She has a big heart, and I'm gonna thank you for setting an example for me.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
thank you, thank you. Now you got another book called Unmasked, and from what I had looked at it, I can sum it up in like it's really a combination of revealing, but it's like removing emotional masks. Different type of masks that you explain. I'll let you go ahead and do it. Could you go ahead and summarize this particular book, because some it's almost listening to the title kind of tells it, but then it don't.
Mhm. So as women, we have so many titles. We're mothers, we're wives, we're partners, we're aunts, we're everything. And so, where do we find the time to really uh, take care of ourselves? And so, this book again was written after I had my stroke, and I realized the importance of family, a family during a time where we need to pull together. So the book is really talking about how do we unmask those things that are in us, but also sharing in the in this partnership we call family and sisterhood, and also understanding the importance of grandparents. I As I mentioned before, I spent many summers with my grandmother, understanding who she was, a woman of color born in 1920s in the rural South, and understanding her as a woman of faith, and understanding the importance of grandparents in this dynamic of family. So the book, it really talks about that journey uh, of the character Anya and her friends, and her being this businesswoman, and her just learning how to unmask and learning how to love herself. And so yeah,
Wow.
it's a powerful uh, uh, rendition of what's important. You have the ability to understand what importance is, and what is important to you. Is it family? Is it business? Is it your children? What is it? And so it really talks about all those different things, but at the end, it should be rooted in love and respect and caring. Unmasked is one of 7 books. So I'm on book number 4, which should be
Mm, mm.
completed by the end of the year, hopefully to be out by March of next year.
Wow, as y'all see, she is so busy, but she still take the time to to just make you feel like a queen. And
No,
she is an example of a real queen that didn't let anything stop her. And I continue doing what you're doing.
yes, thank you.
Please continue it. Yes. And before we go, um, before I ask my last question, well, my next to the last question, is there any kudos or shout outs you wanted to go ahead and give to those people?
Oh my goodness. Just my entire, like as you said, your team. My team has been an amazing
Wow.
group of people. That's to include my family, my mom, my sister, my children, my granddaughter. And shout out to her if I can just do a little small kudos to her. Her book. We did a book together too, and her book came out November the 22nd, and it has gone global.
Oh,
And she's
oh,
only 8. So kudos to my little Armani Allen. So I'm truly just grateful for everybody that has been a part of this journey. This journey cannot be a journey without people. Now I always tell people along your journey, all people don't need to come with you. So sometimes you got to drop them
oh
off.
boy. Uh-oh.
Drop them off,
Wait a
and
minute.
that's
That sounds
okay.
like my next podcast. But go ahead.
Sometimes you have to
Yes,
drop them off
yes.
at the
Oh
terminal,
yeah,
wherever that might be.
I did one not too long ago. So that's isn't that see? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, but yeah, just my
Absolutely.
extended family, just being able to meet so many wonderful people, especially the authors on Allure, allow me the trust and the care of their babies, their books, their manuscripts. So, from Paul Posey I'm having a brain fart, but Paul Posey,
Oh, right.
Kendrick, to Karina or Shania, all of the individuals that are on the platform, just allow me to be a part of that journey with them. But most importantly, my God who has stood by
Yes,
me
yes,
through it all, even through the days that I feel like I might can't do it. He always whispers in my ear to say, "You have it in you.
yes,
I've planted in you. I've given you this, so there's no need for you to stop. I'm going to give you the time for you to rest, but
yes.
right now it's time to keep moving." So I give him nothing but the praise
Excellent.
and the honor, because without him, none of this, me sitting talking to you, me having a Allure publishing, me being able to stand and say, I
None
have
of
degree
this.
as a
Yes,
doctor. All of that was planted in me
yes.
before I was even a seed. God had
Go
already
ahead,
ordained that
doctor.
for me. So I give him nothing but the praise. I'm going to get happy in here, but God knows that he has risen me, and I'm going to make the best of all that time that he's given me, because I could have been dead and gone. And God
Yes,
saw fit to
yes,
allow me to hear the voices of the nurses saying, calling my
yes,
name, Miss Miller, Miss Miller, Miss Miller. And I'm like,
yes.
when they woke me up, I said, y'all woke me up from the best sleep I've ever had in life. But God said, the sleep is over. It's
Wow.
now time to work. So I'm here working.
Yeah,
And I
now
tell
you're
people, even though I'm never too busy, ever too busy. So whether I'm working on book 10 or book 12, or if I'm over here in Texas, or if I'm over here in Indianapolis, I have the time because God made time for me. So as I always tell people, if grace
yes.
can be extended by God, why can I not do the same? So
Excellent. I know y'all heard that. I have no words to say. I should stop right now, but I have to say, listen, listen, people want to know. People want to know. And listen, she already told you how to reach out to her. If people are interested in you publishing their book,
yes, ma'am.
where should they go?
So I have a website, which is allurepublishing.net. That's only one L, ALURE publishing.net. You're able to go down to the bottom of the screen and do contact, and you'll leave a message. And I promise you, I will get back with you within 24 hours.
Excellent, excellent. And first of all, I'm going to ask this question, but I want to thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
want to thank you because they said that you shouldn't be in a room where you're the smartest one. And I didn't understood. I didn't at that time. I was like, what do you mean?
Mm.
But now I understand me and you. You know, you know, I I consult people, I mentor people, but God will bring someone, listen, y'all, into your life, divine connection
Fine
that
connection.
is there to not to kind of say, go sit down, be quiet, and listen.
Be quiet and listen.
And that's the person that's smarter than you. And it is my honor and my pleasure to even be here to talk to you because I can see right now your children and your grandchildren and the legacy you're going to leave is beautiful because you are a beautiful queen.
Thank you. And I salute you, my queen. As you said, it was divine intervention. God knew that I was supposed to sit next to you on that shuttle going to the vineyard. So it was divine. I always tell people it's no circumstances. It's not just because God knows exactly. He's planning your steps
Yeah,
every step, every
yeah.
moment of the day. And so he knew that I needed to sit next to you. What's the chances of you living in Chicago? I'm from Chicago. What that's just that divineness that says that I said to you, I said it wasn't about for me selling the books, it wasn't about any of that, it was about
Mm-hmm.
networking, it was about meeting people with like minds and wanting to see what this event was about. But through it all, I walked away with a friend that I'm going to have forever, and we're going to always have
Yeah,
conversations
yeah.
that
See,
are going to link our communities, and it's going to show that we as women of color, we can sit down at the table and eat a meal and break bread together without having
yeah,
a whole bunch of
I
craziness
believe
going on.
you.
Exactly. So I
I
salute you,
believe
my
you.
queen, to let you know, keep doing the dang on thing in 2025, because we got a lot of things that we got to do in
Yes,
2025.
yes. And I am just cleaning out all my clutter for 2024. And she is someone who she has so much respect as a publisher. She don't bother me every day. When and then you just don't meet nobody like that. I'm like, are you really a publisher? It's not about when you're gonna be a publisher. She said, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, and she's not even thinking about it. Well, wait a minute, you can't do this until after you sign the contract. This woman is truly, I'd be like, okay, okay. And you know what? It's nothing I can't say. I'm just smiling because I said to her, let me clean out all my clutter because I believe in that. And now the last question that we have is, I believe in self care. I teach that to my team, and even me now when I finish, it's things that I like to do to unwind, and I make sure I stop everything and go and unwind. And I literally, I love movies, I love football. It's all kind of stuff that I love, and of course, my morning is with God, and people know don't bother her before 12. With
Mhm.
that being said, from all that you went through, could you let the audience know what are you doing to relax and stay creative? Please let us know because you learned something. What do you do?
You know what? I have no qualms to tell people that I do my massage, I do my pedicure, my manicure, I go to the movies by myself. I do a date night with myself, because you
Yes,
need that. You need to be able
yes.
to sit down, rewind, and go back at it again, because if you don't, you're going to be in a position where I was. And I tell people all the time, let's not go there. And I said very wholeheartedly, don't keep chasing the money. The money is going to be there. You can't chase health if it's gone. You can have all the
Ah,
money in the world, but if your health ain't right, nothing's right. So I learned
excellent,
that I have to take
excellent.
care of me first before I can take care of anybody else. And as you
Yes,
say, I have to get in that mode. Every morning it's this conversation with God. And I said, Lord, today is going to be one of those days. And he's like, yep, it's going to be one of those days, but I planted in you those tools to be able to get through it. So am I perfect? No, I'm not. Am I a work in progress? Definitely am. But I realize that I have to take those moments, as you say, football, movies. I do all those things because now not only do I deserve it, but I deserve it because
Exactly.
you know,
Yes, you
and
do.
so I deserve them, and I don't make any excuses for it. If I say I'm gone, I'm out. Like if I say I'm ready to, I'll catch you when I see you. But I'm
Yes.
always working. But I make that time for me because if I don't, I will be back in the place that I said I would never be.
Exactly. And I would too. So let you hear it, you heard it from Dr. Yvette and actually Dr. Calenthia Yvette Miller. I call her Yvette. She don't say anything. Excuse me. Don't be calling me that. And then them by their fruit. And she could tell she is not, her nose is not up here.
Mm.
Just her mind. Okay. Higher conscious, higher thinker. And I just want to thank you for tuning in. Her books are going to be down below. And I just want to say thank you to her. Thank you to all of the ones who are going to come in and listen to this because we're going to send this overseas, of course. And thank you for your books. Thank you for just listening to God. And thank you for being who you are, which is just you. And I'm out because there's no more that I can actually say with thank you. And we are out. And everybody remember, if loving yourself is right, you don't want to be wrong.